So we're following breaking news on a potential game changer in America's fight against the coronavirus, especially for parents. Moderna is taking a new step to vaccinate young children under 6 with the latest shot. The company just submitted its request to the FDA this morning for an emergency use authorization. So for more on this, we want to bring in Dr. Jeremy Faust. He's an emergency physician at Brigham and Women's Hospital at Harvard Medical School. Thank you so much for joining us because I got a bunch of questions for you. So I think my first question is, how much of a game changer could this be for children and parents? You know, we're talking about kids between 6 months and 6 years old, especially when you consider that the CDC says 75% of American kids already got the virus. So how much of an impact could a COVID vaccine actually have?
Thanks for having me. I think a COVID vaccine for children from 6 months up to 6 years, which is the new group that Moderna is looking at, is a game changer for so many people. The fact is that if you look at how many kids of that age have been hospitalized with COVID, it's actually a lot more than people realize. The CDC has a COVID tracker that catches about 10% of the country. And in that data, they've seen that about 3,000 kids, over 3,000 kids under the age of 4, have been hospitalized with COVID. So that means tens of thousands of kids nationwide have in that age group. So that still leaves a lot of parents and kids at risk of having a hospitalization outcome. And then there's other outcomes that we're worried about too. So I actually think, and by the way, I'm a parent of a 4-year-old, this is a huge deal for this to come across the goal line. A lot of us, including myself, have still changed how they do life out of protection of a little one. So I think this is really important news. It's a great step forward. It's been a little slow on the administrative side in the past month, to be honest. So it's welcome news that we have forward progress.
So let me ask you a few more questions about that CDC study that came out yesterday, the one that said 75% of kids. It also said, more than half of Americans in general have had COVID. And I really didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know whether or not that meant before the vaccines or after the vaccines. But how do you sort of understand that data? What are we to think of how prevalent this virus is?
That data reflects the entire pandemic, and certainly there is a silver lining to surviving this virus, which is you have some immunity to it. The question is, what's the implication of that immunity? For example, we see there are examples of people who get the infection and a year later, they're pretty vulnerable. Whereas if you have a vaccine or booster, the tail of protection is longer. We actually now know that the most sturdy protection against future illness is hybrid immunity. That is, having been vaccinated and being infected, in that order, by the way, just in terms of safety, because why would you want to risk getting infected without that vaccine protection? So if you really look at the silver lining of an infection is that if you're vaccinated already, you get that hybrid immunity. So I think that's really the downstream sort of game changer is, when do we have herd protection? When do we have enough people walking around who, when they get this virus, if they're exposed to it, it doesn't have the same implications as it did early on? That's what this means to me, is that more and more people have some protection so that when we see a case spike, maybe and likely we won't see that hospitalization or death spike a few weeks later.
And one more before you go, because when I heard about the study, I also thought about all the people that may be suffering from long haul syndrome, people that maybe didn't know that they had COVID, and now they're feeling all these symptoms afterwards. I want to ask you about a study. The European Congress of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Diseases did a study on long haul, found that some patients found relief after a 4-week treatment program. I know the research is sort of ongoing when it comes to long haul, but is there hope for people who are suffering with these symptoms?
Yeah, I think we're learning a lot here. Unfortunately, we have to learn a lot about this because it affects a lot of people. I suspect that long COVID is a conglomeration of several conditions, that there's something probably called medium COVID, which affects people for a few months, and it could be quite a dangerous period. There can be there's longer COVID, which is more debilitating longer term. The researchers are doing this. They're sorting out which is which. And then from there, you can say, okay, what are the treatment modalities that are tailor-made for each one? So we're going to get to that point, but we're not there yet. This is a step in the right direction.
Right. Dr. Faust, thank you so much. A man in demand, I see, calling you really early in the morning. Thank you so much.